The leaves have fallen off their trees. The smell of cinnamon, butter, and spices linger on the wind from every chimney. Families have put away their bikes, boats, and sporting gear for items of festive cheer, all to keep away from what they may fear from the darkest time of year. Hello, my name is Jacob Toddson, and welcome back to my favorite time of the year, Yule. I've made a lot of videos about Yule. I mean, a lot. And a lot of that has to do with the fact that this is the most searched time of year as far as like pagan traditions, but also because it's always been my favorite time of year. Even growing up, Christmas was just so magical to me. And one of the things I'm going to argue in this video is that Yule really embodies that magic, I think, a lot more to its traditional roots than our modern Christmas celebrations have become. And so that's what begged the question of this video is, can anyone celebrate Yule? Is it just for heathens, pagans, or is it something that Christians can celebrate? Or is it something Americans can celebrate, considering it's still a Scandinavian holiday today? Now, if you don't want to listen to me ramble on about the different layers of Yule because you don't find it as fascinating as me, and you just want to know, can you celebrate Yule no matter what? And I believe the answer is yes. The Yule is something that everyone can celebrate. And as I'll argue at the end of this video, I really do believe it's a return back to tradition, a return back to the magic of this time of the year that so many of us feel. The earliest account of Yule that we have historically goes back to around the 6th or 7th century when Yule is mentioned, but it's important to note that the reason we even know that it exists at that point is because this is when we started writing things down more, at least in Europe. And the people writing these things down were mostly Christian monks recording the histories of the Anglo-Saxons or the Germanic people. And so we're not really given a lot of the details of the actual celebration. We only know that this time of year, December, January, this was known as the Yule time. And then we get a little bit more in the 12th, 13th century when Snorri Sturluson starts writing in Iceland his epic work, Heimskringla. And within this work, we're given a little bit more detail about what Yule was. Yule was a feast day. This was a holiday that people came together, usually under the earl, chief, or king, and they would have a large feast. And at this feast, there would be several activities and festivities. And one of the known things we know that they did in the past is swearing oaths for the next year, something similar to New Year's resolutions, but usually involving a lot more like large, I'm going to raid this village, or I'm going to build this road, or I'm going to have this X amount of crops, something a little bit more tied to the past. You're not really saying I'm going to lose weight or anything like that, at least in historical sense as far as we can tell. And then they would swear these oaths onto hams, and then they would eat the ham to embody that oath. We're also given a really weird account where a king is having a Yule feast and he's really upset because there is no dolphin for the Yule feast, and so he asks for people to go down into the ocean and get him a dolphin for his Yule feast. And so our historical accounts of Yule are not really helpful to people today, and it's really not until the modern era that we're given a lot more of the Christmas traditions that still survive. Now, when it comes to America, when it comes to our modern perception of what Yule is, most of this comes from Germanic and Anglo-Saxon traditions that migrated over into the US in the 1800s. Christmas has always been a big time of year, but our image of what Christmas is, including the red, the Santa Claus, the red suit of Santa Claus, the gift giving, and the way it looks now to a lot of us really developed in the 1800s and the 1900s. In fact, if you didn't know this, Father Christmas, Santa Claus, didn't have red on him until Coca-Cola showed up and decided to make Santa Claus a marketing icon. And this is one of the things that can make it really hard to break down what Yule Christmas is today, because we have these many different layers of not only Christmas, of ancient customs, of Germanic customs, Anglo-Saxon, Irish customs, and then all of a sudden we throw commercialism on top of that in the case of like Coca-Cola. It's one of the things people think about this time of year. They think about Coca-Cola, M&Ms, the gift giving, the buying of things. But this hasn't always been the case. In fact, it wasn't until the Industrial Revolution that a lot of people within cities had enough money to think about having money to buy things. Most traditional Christmas gifts were handmade. Now let's talk about Christianity a little bit more because it's an important conversation around Yule. And again, I made a video called How Pagan is Christmas a couple of years ago. And even the information here researching myself really surprised me because growing up within the church, I was always taught that Christmas was a Christian thing. But I found out pretty quickly that the story of Christmas and the traditions around Christmas and even the date of Christmas are mostly pagan. Now, it might not be purely pagan, it could just be Germanic folk customs, but for the most part, we know the date of Christmas itself is not the birth date of Christ, not the birth date of Jesus. The actual date of Christmas is from Saturnalia, from the pagan celebration of Rome. And one of the reasons this is the date is because when Rome converted into Christianity, many people were still keeping to their old customs of celebrating Saturnalia. And the other birth date around this time was Mithras, Sol Invictus, and then we have the winter solstice, obviously a very important pagan date going back into the Celtic world. And so a lot of pagan people in the conversion period were celebrating something around the winter solstice. And so when the church was formalized, they needed a date to celebrate something around the same time to convert people into the Christian way of thinking. And so they chose the birth date of Jesus to be at this time during Saturnalia, during the winter solstice, in order to bring more pagan people into the Christian upbringing and way of life. And again, we're talking about 1,500, 2,000 years of history here. And so things have had a chance to cook in that stew, so to speak. They had time to, the flavors have blended together. And so the stew of Christmas that we're eating now is a lot of different things. It is Christian traditions over the last 1,500 years. It is pagan traditions going all the way back into Rome. It's going all the way back into the Celtic world, the Germanic world. And that's what makes it so fascinating. And this is what makes it really hard as a pagan presenter talking about this, because I remember picking up a book, it was just a Yule book a few years ago, and almost everything in it is modern pagan stuff put on top of it. And you have two different types of paganism we really talk about here as well. You have the Wiccan traditions, whereas Wicca has pulled from a lot of different Celtic and Germanic belief systems into their current modern pagan traditions, including the Sabbats and the Wheel of the Year. And when you look at the Wheel of the Year, for Wiccan traditions, it's an amalgamation of Celtic traditions, made-up traditions, and then Yule as well. And then I think Midsummer is on there as well. I mean, there is seriously a lot put onto here. And so Yule in itself is also a Wiccan celebration. And so there's Wiccan Yule that Wiccans celebrate. And then there's modern neo-pagan heathen traditions as far as people celebrating specifically Germanic and Scandinavian gods. These traditions are going to be slightly different. So you have modern heathen Yule as well, which is its own thing. And then on top of that, you have the fact that Scandinavian people, many of which who are not actually pagan today, very rarely they're religious at all. You have these Scandinavian people seeing us Americans run around and saying, Happy Yule, good Yule, Yuletide, and all this, and then celebrating our modern pagan traditions while they're just celebrating their normal holiday. They're celebrating Yule as they have always celebrated. Things like the Yule Buck, the Yule Goat, the Yule Log, and other traditions they've been doing for hundreds, if not thousands of years. Especially for me, traveling to Scandinavia, talking to people that live there today, celebrate these traditions, have a little bit of paganism, animism kind of sprinkled in there as well. You know, when I'm talking to them about Americans that celebrate Yule today or practice heathenry, they seem to be a little disconnected because there is a disconnect between the Scandinavian people and the Americans following these traditions and customs now and trying to revive them. They've really become their own thing. I would even argue that American heathenry is quite a bit different than traditional, like Asatru or Forseither, whatever they call it, the old customs in Scandinavia. They've taken on their own lives. They've become two different branches of the same tree. And so you can have traditional Scandinavian Yule over here, and then you have heathen Yule, American heathen Yule over here, and then Wiccan Yule. And so yeah, as you can see, there's a lot of layers here. What I hinted at the very beginning of this video when it comes to what I think Yule is for me and what I think it could be for the world now. I mean, even this year, the day after Halloween, the pumpkins were being replaced by Santa Claus, reindeers, and trees. And for me, that's just not allowing enough of the magic to be restored. We're over milking that magic at this time of year. I haven't gotten into the spirit until this day making this video. And this is the day before Thanksgiving for a reason. And that's because this time of year is so special and I don't want to abuse it. And I believe our modern Christmas traditions have begun to abuse the magic of this season. Whether or not you come from this from a pagan angle or an everyday person or a Christian or Scandinavian, what I really think that all of us want to return to is that magic. And so my final two things I want to share with you in this video are something that you can do as a pagan and something you can do as everyday people to connect more to the magic of this time of year. So let's start with the pagans. My primary viewers of this channel, people that are interested in the spirits and the gods and the old ways. What's something you can do during this time of year? One of the ancient customs that we know is some form of celebration of female ancestor spirits, some form of connection to the people that birthed us. For some reason, the ancient people in the Anglo-Saxon, Germanic world, and even the Icelandic, Scandinavian world, they connected to their female ancestor spirits around this time of year. And it's something that's become very popular in neo-pagan traditions, and including within my own community, the Fellowship of Northern Traditions. We always do something for Odin, and we always do something for the mothers. Connecting to Frigg, the handmaidens, the ancestors of the past. And those are always the most impactful. Something about this time of the year calls to the ancient feminine, the loss of so many women that have given birth to the generations that are walking the earth today. So many women have sacrificed their lives for our species. And I think that's something that needs to be honored more often. And I think this time of year is a really great time to do that. And as someone who, I don't want to over-mention this year, but both of my grandmothers died at the beginning of this year, and I'm really feeling that this time of year. And so having a moment with them, having a moment for them, having a ceremony, a reflection, an offering, a meditation to reflect on the mothers in my life, that both the ones that I've known, currently know, and the ones I've never met. And so yeah, that's what I challenge my pagan followers to really connect to this time of year, is that ancient mother magic. And something a little bit more cozy for everyone. This is something that everyone should do. And again, I've made an entire video about it. And that is something that comes from Scandinavia. That is one of my favorite things, and that is hygge. Hygge is a Danish word that simply basically means coziness, to cozy up, to be cozy. It's really a state of being, a state of mind that you want to create within your home or within a social setting, especially in the darker months. I mean, I haven't seen the sun in like 6 days. And so I think it means so much to bring that fire from the sun, that warmth from the sun into our homes. Having candles, having fire, having warm drinks. I mean, just the other night I had friends over and we played board games with decaf coffee. And it was super cozy, and I just loved it. And that's what gets me through this year. It's what gets me through the darker months. And so if you've never looked into hygge, again, it's something that's been very commercialized in the last 10 or so years. You can buy books about it. You can buy all kinds of hyggelit items and things like that. But at the end of the day, all it takes is a candle, a hot drink, and someone you love, and a cozy couch. So cozy up with someone you love. Really set the ambience. Don't just watch Netflix all the time. Don't just zone out. Don't just move on from the day-to-day. Don't just hate the darkness. Love the darkness. Love that warmth that it creates with you and your loved ones. I think hygge, to create a hygge environment, it's one of the things that makes this time of year so special. And you don't need to be a pagan to believe in coziness. You don't need to be a pagan to believe in sharing love. If I've learned anything in the crazy life I've lived, is love is so very important. And love goes in so many different directions. Loving nature, loving your family, loving tradition, loving your ancestors, sharing that love with strangers. And isn't that ultimately what the magic of Christmas is? The magic of Yule is sharing love. And so no matter how you're able to share that love this year, I really wish you all the best. I really want to wish you a Merry Christmas, a good Yule, a happy Yule. May it be full of love and the people you care for. Because in the end, that is all that really matters. And so thank you for joining me for this video, answering the question, who can celebrate Yule? The answer is everyone, because we all have a connection to that magic of the past. Thank you so much for joining me for this video. Let me know in the comments down below what is one of your favorite traditions from this time of year, and I'll see you in the next video here at the Wisdom of Odin.